Greetings, YouTube. The fossil fuel industry is terrified of renewables because they haven't quite figured out how to get enough of a slice of that. If the sun and the wind and the water give people power, how are they going to make a profit off of that? And because they're terrified of it, it means that by and large, so are politicians, because the fossil fuel industry is funding them. And they're paid to be terrified. They're paid to come up with BS excuses about why people shouldn't build solar farms and why people shouldn't have, hydropower, and why people shouldn't do wind farms. And one of the big arguments I've heard against wind farms is birds. Now, everybody loves birds. They're cool. And yes, birds are real. But they say that wind turbines kill birds. Now, this is a truism. They are not lying. And that's the wonderful thing about these kinds of stuff. They can make a true statement, and then they can wrap that true statement in bullshit and try to sell you something that has nothing to do with the true statement. Wind turbines are not the major cause of bird deaths. The major cause of bird deaths in the United States of America are cats. 2.6 billion birds every year are killed by cats in America. Not for food, because most of these are pet cats, but just because cats like to hunt. If you own a pet cat, keep it inside. I don't care if you're going to tell me that they enjoy it. I don't care if you're going to tell me that it's a barn cat and it helps control your rodents. Find a different method. If you own a cat, be a responsible cat owner and keep them inside all the ways. It's better for the cat. It's better for the world. But if you then throw in windows, like buildings, and cars, that counts for like 5 billion birds every year. Now, do you know how many birds are killed every year by wind turbines? It's something like 700,000. Not 700 million. Like 700,000. That's a rounding error for the top three. But that would mean that they'd have to be honest with you. So they're not going to tell you that. If somebody's throwing up that wind turbines kill birds, they're not going to tell you that most of them are killed by cats. Because that's going to undermine their point. They're going to want you to always believe that the biggest danger to wind turbines, because that's the only number they've presented you with, and they've wrapped their bullshit around that number, are wind turbines. But of course that isn't true. And we need wind turbines. It's really important. Because renewables are going to save us as a species. Because we need to get away from using fossil fuels as fuel. We can still use oil for other stuff, but we need to reduce our consumption. We need to stop burning coal entirely. And we need to stop fracking. We're always going to have some degree of big oil is going to have some role to play in society for a very long time, but we need to stop generating energy with it. For our cars, for our homes, we need to get renewables. It's going to be difficult to do on cars because there isn't enough lithium to make all the batteries we need. So we really need to be moving towards infrastructure that doesn't require cars. Building cities around people and public transportation. That's how we're going to save ourselves from, wiping our species out. Cars will still exist, but they'll be used far more rarely than a well-run city, a well-designed city, so you can work and live and play and get to your doctors and to the grocery store and everywhere else you need to go on either a foot or on bikes or your scooter or in your wheelchair or whatever, or your Segway or whatever the latest, one-wheel whatever. But you build them on a human scale, that's going to help us. But wind turbines are not the #1 killer of birds. Cats are. So if anybody throws out the whole BS that wind turbines are dangerous to birds, ask them, how many birds are killed every year by cats? They may just show you their ignorance, or they may break a sweat.